Hey folks, thanks for joining me in another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my current EDC. No, I'm kidding. No, this is my Leatherman collection. This is almost the entirety of my Leatherman collection. I will say that just as in my Victorinox collection video that I published a few weeks ago, there's definitely a few models that are missing. They're mostly just duplicates of what's here because just as in with my Victorinox Swiss Army knives, these are all over the house. They're in the car, they're in my work bag, they're everywhere. So it takes me a little while to collect everything and kind of find where everything's hiding at, and I'm sure I'm missing at least two or three. Two that I can think of for sure. But this is the bulk of my Leatherman multi-tool collection. So I thought I'd post up another video in this collection series that folks have been asking for and kind of step through these real quick as I can, and show you my different Leatherman tools and why I carry them, and maybe a little bit about where I got them, that kind of thing. Most of the Leatherman that you see here, I would have to say most, came from either a yard sale or a pawn shop or a swap meet. And probably most of those would be yard sales that you see of all these here. The two super tools, the two of the standard Leatherman tools, or PSTs as they were called, the side clip, and I've actually got two. Those all came from yard sale or swap meet. The orange Leatherman Juice did as well. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. These three Micras. I think I've gone through about 6 or 8 Micras over the years. I've given a lot of them away, and those, except for one, have all come from yard sales or swap meets. So some of the other ones have come from online purchases, some from eBay. I bought the red Leatherman Squirt and the two gray ones from eBay. The gray Juice S2 came from eBay. These three right here, the black one came from eBay, but the red and the blue came from a 2-pack from Costco, which some of you probably are familiar with. Leatherman Wave came from Amazon so many years ago, probably almost 10 years ago. Leatherman Bruiser, which is that little keychain guy, I'll get into that one in a second. That one came from an online purchase. Leatherman Mini Tool came from eBay, so they come from all over the place. Most of them were gotten for a pretty good deal. I'm fairly patient when it comes to, well, I won't say I'm patient when it comes to finding the tool that I want to buy, but when it comes to paying the price that I want to pay, I'll usually wait it out. I will sit and stew and kind of watch eBay, watch some of the online forums that deal in multi-tools and knives and that type of thing, and I won't strike until I get the price that I want, and otherwise I'll just keep waiting and waiting. So most of these I was pretty pleased with the price that I got. The two super tools, these are probably my largest Leatherman. I would say these are actually bigger than the Wave. They may be, I don't know, they may not be as feature packed, but they feel a little bit heavier. This might be a draw as far as overall bulkiness and length. But the super tools, like I said, these came from either a yard sale or swap meet over the past few years. One of them's a little bit more beat up than the other. I think this one's the one that's in a little bit better condition. Got your usual suite of tools. This one's got a serrated knife, can opener, Phillips. I see a saw. This one has one tool that's broken off, and that's not entirely uncommon in my Leatherman collection. In fact, let me see if I can grab the other super tool and see what is missing. But oh, it looks like it was an awl, or maybe it was a mini screwdriver. I'm not going to open all of these up because this video will take way too long. I kind of fell into that trap on my Victorinox video. But some of my Leatherman tools, like you can see right in there, they have some tools that are broken off, and that's just sort of a not entirely uncommon occurrence. That's something that you'll see when you pick up your knives and tools for cheap at a yard sale or a swap meet, or Craigslist, or otherwise bought used and for an inexpensive price. And if it's not something that's critical to the performance of the tool, a lot of times it'll help you out in haggling a cheaper price. These super tools, I know that I didn't pay more than $2 for each of these, for either one. And I think all of the PSTs, that is the Pocket Survival Tool. And I'm not sure the exact lineage of the Pocket Survival Tool. If you go online, you can look it up very quickly with a Google search. But this was the first multi-tool that Leatherman released. But at one point, it was engraved on one side, Pocket Survival Tool. And then that also had a little sequel called the PST2. And if any of you are familiar with Knife Tex here on YouTube, check out his channel. He's got a nice little video talking about the Pocket Survival Tool Part 2, and it's a pretty good video. So he's got a little bit of info on some of the changes, and his thoughts on it. But this is just the original one. It's really basic, but it is still a fantastic Leatherman tool. It comes with their classic pliers, and I think that was really what, you know, kind of set the multi-tool market ablaze, was them including a full-size set of pliers in there with some little wire cutters. And then you've got knives and drivers and all sorts of other good stuff inside the handles. But the name has changed. That's on the outside of the tools, and then also the name that is engraved at the pliers has changed. On some of the tools it'll say Leatherman USA, others will say Leatherman Tool, and then I think some just say Leatherman, and then some even have this little piece ground out. Leatherman got in a little bit of trouble, I think it was with the state of California, where their tools, and this is still true today, Leatherman's tools are still made in the United States. That is, that they're built here, and I think it's like more than 95% of the parts that go into Leatherman tools are made in the United States. But they have a few little bits and bobs, screws or pivots or whatnot, that come from China or otherwise overseas. And because of that, if it's not completely 100% made in the United States, the state of California does not allow you to refer to it as made in USA. And so Leatherman had to change, in order to be able to sell their tools within California, they had to change that. Now, I might be a little bit fuzzy on the details there, but I think that's basically the broad strokes of the matter. And so some Leatherman tools say different stuff on them depending on what year you purchased it. Probably one of my favorite Leatherman tools of all time is the Leatherman side clip, which is very similar in its loadout and its overall size and design as the original pocket survival tool. But it has this lovely, nice clip. You can clip it to any pocket just like your favorite pocket knife. And it does have, and again, I'd have to go through and kind of flip all the tools out. So there are a few little differences between it and the original pocket survival tool. But the biggest difference is going to be that it has that nice pocket clip on there. And this was in production for quite a few years, and then I think it was retired around 2000. It might have even been a little bit earlier. But that's probably one of my absolute favorites, just because that pocket clip just takes this tool from being something that has to either go in a sheath, like this one here. This is, in fact, another pocket survival tool. This one I just keep it in the sheath because it's probably the one that's in the nicest condition. So I just kind of leave it in that sheath in which it was found when I purchased it. But I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. But the pocket clip on there takes it from being, you know, just sort of a basic heavy tool that has to go in a sheath or you have to drop in the bottom of your pocket, to something that's a lot more comfortable to carry and a lot easier to retrieve. And so I'm kind of disappointed that this is no longer in production. I imagine it's probably the cost of the steel. Maybe the weight turns off some customers, I'm not sure. But I found both of these locally used, like I said, at either a yard sale or a swap meet. And I have a second one just because I do like this so much that should it ever become lost or damaged, I've kind of got a backup. And that's the same kind of goes for some of these other ones that you see that I have multiples of. Some of the small ones, the Micra, the Style PS. There's also a little sister model to this one that has scissors called the Style CS. These get carried pretty often, and they get carried in all sorts of different arrangements. Like I said, I have them in my work bag. Sometimes I have one in my pocket. Sometimes I've got one, you know, in a drawer around the house. So they're all over the place, and that's why you'll see duplicates. And I also like to carry different colors. So depending on my mood, I might want to carry my orange juice S2 on one day, or the storm gray on another, just depending. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. The Leatherman Wave here, I've probably had this longer than any other Leatherman here. I think I've had this right around a decade, and I bought this to carry at work. It does have a sheath. I'm not really sure where it's at. It might be one of these. I can't remember. I've got just a couple Leatherman sheaths off to the side, just of various sizes. And I don't usually carry my Leatherman tools in the sheaths. I just store them in there. I purposely bought the pocket clip for the Leatherman Wave so that I could indeed clip it to my pocket. And then I found that it was too thick. It's not so much the weight. In fact, a lot of times when something has a pocket clip, I'm not really worried about the weight. It's the bulk of it. And this thing was just, it just took up too much pocket space. I couldn't really reach past it. So I don't tend to carry this one in my pocket, but it is clipped to my LA Police Gear tactical bailout bag, or whatever the heck it's called, that I carry to work, that I keep my lunchbox in, and some various other items like to keep on me, you know, Monday through Friday at work. So I keep this clipped on there, and this probably gets used almost once a day. It gets used pretty often, and it's held up really, really well. Leatherman's tools all come with a 25-year warranty, and I think maybe the earliest, the original PST, I'm not sure if that's still under warranty or not, but Leatherman's got a pretty darn good warranty from what I've seen, and from the experiences that I've read, the accounts that I've read online, as far as people having to send stuff in, Leatherman's pretty good about it. This little mini tool is sort of a, it's an interesting Leatherman, and not a lot of people have seen it. I know that every time I show a photo of this on Instagram or I mention it online, I get a lot of people curious about this. So it kind of looks like this little stubby pair of pliers, but then you fold out these handles here, and I might have shown this in another video, I don't recall. You fold out the handles and it becomes a full-size pair of pliers, just like the original Leatherman tool. So I always thought that was pretty slick. And then it's got a can opener, a bottle opener. It also has a knife and a file included in the handles, and those fold down. And they're just little stubby, short little tools. But pretty slick little tool. I wanted one of these for a long time. I waited and waited and waited, and I got the price that I wanted. And it's in pretty good shape. If some of you out there are interested in this but you haven't seen it before, definitely check them out. The price tends to fluctuate, you know, on sites like eBay. But if you're patient, you'll get it for the price that you want. A little bit chunky. I think this almost could have done well to have a pocket clip similar to the side clip. I think that it might have even sold better if people were able to clip this on, because the very small size is really convenient, very travel friendly, doesn't really get in the way too much. It's a little thick, but it's not too bad. I do have one of these little generic suspension clips on here, and in fact that's how I carry a few of my other tools. There's a great guy on Instagram named Hair Mustache. That's his Instagram name. He pointed out these clips to me. I picked up a little set of these off of eBay for a fairly inexpensive, fairly cheap price. But I keep clips on a lot of these that I don't want to have sitting at the bottom of my pocket. Oh, let's see. The Squirt ES4. I think this one's just about brand new. I don't carry this. I don't really have a lot of need for it. I thought about trading it away. I just haven't got around to it. It's not very expensive. It's not worth a whole heck of a lot. Maybe, you know, 20, 25 bucks, something like that. I don't really need the little wire strippers that are at the end of it. But it is a cool little tool. This was sent to me on accident on eBay. I tried to order a Leatherman style PS and was sent the ES4 instead, and I contacted the eBay seller and they would not reply to me. I tried several times, and because this was actually more expensive than the PS4 and I thought I might get around to using it or enjoying it, I eventually gave up on trying to contact them and, you know, kind of cut my losses and said, hey, if you guys don't want to correct it and send me the cheaper one, and I'll send you back the more expensive one, you know, that's fine. So I kept it. And I haven't used it, but, you know, there it is, part of the collection. Most of these I actually use, though. There's very few of these that I don't use, and it's usually because they're either too big or too heavy, like the Super Tool, which they're just kind of chunky. There's smaller options here that I would rather carry. And then other than that, I just have some that are, like I mentioned before, that are backups. I've got a backup Storm Gray Leatherman Squirt to replace the one that I normally carry. I've got this red one in case anyone's looking at this and wondering what's going on with these hideous scales. I thought I would try removing the coating from the scales just for fun. So this is as far as I've gotten. I probably put about an hour into it with some really rough sandpaper, just kind of rubbing it off there by hand. Thought I might take my Dremel with some of the sanding wheels and go at it a little bit more, but that's all I've gotten into it so far. But since this one's this one was beat up to begin with, which is in fact the whole reason that I thought I might bother trying to rub the red anodization off of there, I'm not too upset that it looks kind of funky. I actually kind of like the way it looks. So I'm just carrying it around beat up like that until I get a little bit more time and I can clean up the rest of that and sand it all off. Up above the squirts we have the Skeletool. This is another favorite Leatherman. One of the reasons I like this one so much is, again, like the side clip, it has a nice pocket clip. A little bit thin. Depending on which pants you're wearing, this might sometimes have a tendency to kind of want to squiggle out of your pocket, but in my jeans it holds very well. I haven't really had any big issues with retention. There's a couple other little ways you could carry it. You could loop a lanyard through it, which was another way that I would carry this. I'd actually clip it to my pocket with the lanyard dangling out. And then it's also got this nice bottle opener / carabiner clip at the top there, so you can clip that onto a belt loop. You can snap that onto a bag or something. So it's got a few different little convenient options for carry. It's got a one-handed opening knife. It also closes one-handed and it locks. This is the Skeletool CX model, so this has the higher quality 154 cm steel in the blade, which is a really nice steel, and works quite well. Little liner lock, snaps it into place. And you also have full-size pliers in the middle. I'm trying to open this through the viewfinder as usual. So you have your full-size pliers with the usual little wire cutters or strippers in the middle. And then in addition to that, at the other end, you have a replaceable bit driver. So it comes with 2 bits that are double-ended, So you squeeze back on the little lock, flip these over, click it back into place, and then Leatherman sells a bit kit that you can choose. I think it's got like 44 different bits, or at least 44 different heads to it, and you can kind of keep your two favorite bits in there, so you can kind of carry it and tailor it to what you like to do. I really like this tool. A lot of people don't care for it. It gets a bad rap because it doesn't have a lot of functions. For its size, it doesn't have as many functions as the other tools, but the replaceable bit driver, I think, kind of makes up for that, because you can swap it out with what you want to carry most. If you need a Torx driver or hex driver, something like that, you can put that in there, and I think that that gives it a little bit more versatility than some of the other tools. I think that it looks cool, and I think that it's a great medium, light to medium duty multi-tool. So that one's kind of risen to become one of my favorites. The top here is the Leatherman Bruiser. Now this was actually made by another company originally called Pocket-Tool X, who sold their business to Leatherman. So Leatherman owns and produces all of their designs now. It's just one solid piece of stainless steel. Has this little funny little beer bottle or soda bottle at the end. I guess it would be a beer bottle, as they call it, the Bruiser. Little clever play on words there. And then you also have a hex driver, which is also a bottle opener, flathead screwdriver slash sort of box seam ripper. You can use the end there that's thinned as a pry bar, and then the little beer bottle thing at the end you can use as a oxygen wrench, which probably will come up never for most folks, but maybe you're an EMT or a fireman or something and you might have need for that. It's a cool little tool, run you about 10 bucks. I like that. It gets swapped out on my keys. I'll switch it out with my Micra Widgie bar here on occasion, just as the mood strikes me, but there isn't really any rhyme or reason as to which one I might carry on any given day. The reason I have my keys included here is because I did want to mention that this is, I think, my latest Leatherman tool. This is the Leatherman cap lifter, or Leatherman carabiner, and just as its name implies with the cap lifter thing, it's got a little bottle cap lifter, that little snag right there, catch and pop the cap off your bottle. It's got a little hex wrench, carabiner, so you can clip that onto your gear or clip it onto your belt loop, which is what I do. I keep my keys dangling from the little key ring here, connected with a little master link from a bike chain. And that's how I've been carrying my keys lately. I really like this. It's got a few little issues with it. Sometimes it can be difficult to remove from your belt loop, especially if you're not used to it. It took me a couple days to kind of get a feel for it, as it did replace a Night Eyes S-beaner. So clipping it on and off my belt loop took a little bit of getting used to the rhythm of it, but now I'm fine with it. Other than that, I think that's actually pretty great, and they'll only run you anywhere from $5 to $10. So anyone that's out there looking for a new fun little gadget, that one gets my recommendation. Let's see. I think I already mentioned I've got another side clip in here. That was another PST Micra. Probably one of my favorite little mini pairs of scissors. I had one of these on my keys for years, and then as I got a little bit more picky about what I was going to carry in my everyday carry, I decided to sort of retire it. So these are just all over the house now, and I use them for everything that you would just use scissors for mostly. Sometimes I'll use they've got a little funky little pair of built-in tweezers in them, and the little drivers come in handy. A little two-dimensional flathead Phillips type driver, and then just a standard Phillips slotted, or excuse me, not Phillips, but slotted driver. Pretty handy little tool. Like I said, I did carry one for years, so I do like it, but I've kind of moved on. I like having the little mini pliers a little bit more than scissors now day to day. So that one's sort of been retired to just started using it around the house. And then another one of my probably most favorite and most often carried Leatherman tools is the Leatherman Juice S2. And it's just got your basic, all of these really have, sort of the same loadout, the same layout of tools. You've got a knife. Now this one isn't one hand opening and it doesn't lock, so that is something to keep in mind. But it does have full-size pliers once it folds out, of course. This one I'd say light to medium duty. You wouldn't want to take apart your car with it, but should you have some car trouble, if you've got a busted radiator hose or you need to loosen some of the nuts on your batteries or something like that, that's exactly when something like this comes in perfectly, comes in handy very nicely. Great weight, great size, nice and comfortable. It's got curved edges, so it's not going to jab you or poke you in your pocket or anything like that. But just the overall size, the weight, the utility of it has made this rise to become one of my favorite Leatherman tools. So if I had to pick sort of my top picks from here, it would be the side clip, the Juice S2, the mini tool. I only wish that this had a Phillips driver. It's my only negative on that. The Skeletool, and then the Squirt P4. Now some of these other ones get carried often as well, like the Style PS, but those, I think it was 4 that I mentioned, those are probably my absolute favorites. So there you have it. That is my Leatherman collection, or at least as much of it as I could find. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. This one was probably a lot less focused than my previous video and a lot more just random rambling. I haven't done a video in a little while, so I'm a little bit off my game, you could say. But I do hope that you enjoyed watching this video and found it a little bit entertaining. I hope to bring you some more videos soon, especially more of these collection videos, so look for those in the future and look for some more reviews very soon as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.